Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Public Issues. Tonight's show is also being brought to you by West Ready Mix. Hey, folks, if you need gravels or if you need concrete and if you need that stuff, you call 569. Oh, that's okay. No problem there. We'll just put this right back up there. And anyway, West Ready Mix will take care of you. And folks, I got the High Sheriff of Scott County and the drug czar here with us tonight. We're going to talk about drugs. And now, we will be taking some of your calls, but those calls, I will pick them up and we will talk to you. But because, you know, I never let anybody try to get on the air and abuse my guests. Never will, never have. So, anyway, introduce yourself, fellows, and let's start talking about the drugs.
Well, I'm Mike Cross, Sheriff, and I wouldn't exactly call Kris the czar, even though he is a pretty good drug agent.
I'm Kris Lewallen. I'm the drug agent with the Sheriff's Department. Been drug agent so far now for 5 years.
Okay. So what I asked the sheriff to come on, and I wanted to talk about drugs because, you know, we've been in the news in Knoxville, I don't know, about 1,000 times in the last 10 years. Over things that happens in Scott County, and during the administration of any of our elected officials in Scott County, we've not been able to get any of them come on the show here and talk about different things. So, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on. They always before the election or something or other, they want somebody to hear something or other. So, you know, they come on, but when they get elected or whatever, they never show back up or talk to people and talk about the things that's really important. And I appreciate you coming. And Kris, I appreciate you coming. So thank you. So now I'm going to ask you a question or two, and then we'll get right into it. Now, one of the things that I'm talking about, I seen on I seen it on 2 or 3 of the channels out of Knoxville that some kids, just while they were cleaning up or out playing in their backyard, they found some drug, machines where they actually was creating methamphetamine. So
that's called the one-pot method.
One-pot meth, and I wanted them to bring some of this stuff and show us not how it's done, I mean, with the ingredients and stuff, but exactly what it looks like, what's doing. So you guys go ahead. I'm turning it over. I'm going to shut up.
This is the bottle one of the bottles. This is a mock bottle. We don't use real meth labs for contamination reasons. This is the bottle that one of the kids found, just like this. That happened the other day. 2 kids found it and called it in, and our meth techs went and picked it up. It also happened 2 days ago in the same area. Another child was out in the woods playing and found another one. One of the meth techs went and picked it up as well. These bottles right here these are dangerous bottles. If the children was to open the bottle and inhale the bottle, they're going to probably go into respiratory arrest because it's going to collapse their lungs because of different chemicals and stuff that's in this. That's just one hazard. There's many hazards to it. I can get into the scientific details if I need to, but there's the little black things that you see in here are lithium strips. Everybody knows that these are pulled out of lithium batteries. Lithium metal flashes at 600 degrees Fahrenheit upon moisture or contact even moisture from your skin. Is how sensitive it is. So severe chemical burns, severe fire damage burns, severe inhalation damage. Anything could happen if these children would open these bottles, and thankfully, thank the good Lord above, they didn't.
Well, you brought up something other very interesting. It's lithium batteries. We need to be extremely careful with our kids, especially our young kids, because if you take a battery out of anything, and you know, a little kid will pick those things up and put them in their mouth or anything else, could they possibly short out with?
I don't know about the damages when they're actually inside the battery, but these individuals making them, they actually take the lithium metal out of the inside.
I understand
of the
that.
Well, that's what makes them dangerous, is when you take them outside the protective covering that they're in the battery that you buy.
Well, like I got a little grandson that's 7 years old, or will be in May, and he can take anything apart.
Well, that's true. And any battery like that, disposable battery, can be dangerous if it's taken apart.
So first thing we should do is make sure we dispose of those properly, and make that the kids and stuff cannot touch those.
Here's one of the things that we run into, and Kris can explain that. And we've actually went on raids and got the cooks right in the middle of these, and we actually have video. And RL, we talked about that. You've agreed to show that on your program.
Yes.
And in that video, it shows one of these actually cooking.
This bottle here, the reason we done this one is this is what it kind of looks like when they're done with it and it's laid out in the woods for an hour or two, day or two. This is what it looks like when it's making. It's an actual more liquid form. You can still see the black lithium metal in it, and it bubbles. And
so what I was asking you the question, how in the world did they cook meth in a plastic bottle? Because you know, you hear about people getting burnt and cooking and all this and that. So those batteries, when you put in that liquid, it gets 600 degrees hot. It's bubbling. That's what's cooking it, huh?
Yeah, these guys are very, very creative, very dangerous. You can actually see sparks shooting off inside the bottle while they're cooking it, they're shaking it. They're building the pressure up and releasing the pressure. It's called burping the bottle to keep the bottle from blowing.
You have a question? Hello? Do what? Okay. No question.
So this is it cooking, and you need to explain that one, Kris.
This right here is what they call a gas generator, and it's called a salt. They call it a salt generator, a gas generator bottle. What they do here is they take salt and they mix a chemical in with the salt, which causes a vapor reaction, and it's a gas, and the gas actually comes through the tube. And after they filter their liquid off through a filtering system, they put this down inside the what we call meth oil, and this gas, I don't want to tell the name of the gas, actually is the final process. Those two chemical reactions what produces the actual meth inside of the liquid. These are very dangerous because it's a very dangerous, very corrosive gas. If you inhale this gas will kill you.
And that's the reason we brought these on here tonight. And we try never to do presentations that teach people how to cook meth, but what we wanted to show was the dangers that you can have by coming in contact with these bottles.
Well, now what does meth look like? I mean, once it's a finished product, do you have any of that stuff?
There's different processes. The kind of meth that we're seeing coming up, places like Atlanta, Georgia, and stuff like that are coming from Georgia or Mexico. We call it ice, and it almost looks like small shards of glass. We see that here. That is coming here. We've documented a lot of meth coming into one of the cities here in the town, and we've actually made federal arrest, and we're federally charging an individual right now for that. The meth that they're making from this, it almost looks like a small piece of lava soap, a thin piece of lava soap, and they call it crank. Really, we call it bathtub meth or shake and bake meth. It's a different form.
Okay, so if let's just say that if I had children that was using this, what would I look for to around my house that would be unusual, that I know that I need to be checking into it? Hello? Can I help you? What is meth? Speak up, I can't hear you. I don't understand what you're trying to ask, ma'am. Okay?
I guess she's trying to ask what meth stands for.
Meth stands for methamphetamine.
But I don't know.
It's a chemical name of the type of drug. What I was getting at, where was I at there? What to look for your children or a family member. Before I would actually go looking for meth, I would look for the things that they use, the utensils or items that they use to ingest the meth into their body, be it a piece of burnt aluminum foil folded up, a needle, or like a small glass, what we call crack pipes, for them to smoke it.
Burnt spoons.
Burnt spoons, and then if you do find method, like I said, it looks like a small piece of lava soap
So
or
if
shards of glass.
okay, if I'm just around my house and I've got children and I find a piece of aluminum foil that looks like it's been burnt for some reason, or I see chemicals that shouldn't be around the house, or might be around the house that I have there personally, but
A lot
I
of
see
them are household chemicals.
and I see it start going away, getting smaller and smaller all the time, and know that I'm not using it. So what should I do?
I think one of the first things you need to watch for, RL, is behavioral changes in your children. They'll have mood swings. Sometimes they may stay up 2 to 3 days on this stuff, and then when they come down off of it, they may sleep for 3 or 4 days. So there are those telltale signs that you can look for.
Okay.
We've actually had people come into jail that slept for 5 days that we've got on this stuff right here, and we literally have to wake them up every so often, get them awake, and try to get fluids into them and get them to eating again. And you know, the jail nurse really has her hands full with some of them. You'll see a sudden loss of weight in people that are using meth constantly or regularly. There's a bunch of different signs that you'll be able to tell.
Okay, what's the youngest victim you've ever had, you've had to arrest or had to deal with?
So far for me, 16.
16. Channel 5. Okay. Now, what's your question? Just ask me a short question, because. Okay. Well, no, I don't know. Just ask the question. Let me ask the question. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. I don't need. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to ask the question because I want to get more people in. Okay, because I don't want us to sit here for 5 minutes and I'm not talking just to you. I'm talking to the audience out there, because I want people to just be short and ask the question. Okay.
RL, the youngest victims we've seen because of this right here have actually been infants, babies, with chemical burns.
Yeah.
Okay. The previous caller wanted to know if is there anything that can be done about it, because it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
The sheriff and I, when it started getting worse, got together and we started talking about a system, and we put together a system that we call PEAT-V, and it's each initial stands for something, and if they'll watch the video next week that we're going to play, it explains the system that we've put in place, and it just goes about is rehabilitation of victims, identifying the people, enforcing the laws, and trying to find different routes, and educating the public on this, educating this generation about the meth problem.
One of the things I've came to realize, though, RL, is I don't think we're ever going to be able to arrest, convict, and pass enough laws to get ourselves out of this mess. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a cultural change. We've got to reach a generation or two that rejects this stuff to actually get away from it. Law enforcement's never going to win this, but that doesn't mean we quit trying.
Okay. Good question. I'll ask them. Okay. Thank you. This one wanted to know, would it help your department that they say Huntsville is the growth and one of the fastest growing towns in the state, that they'd heard. should they have their own police department? That's a kind of off the drug subject, but is that
Well,
a viable question?
you know, RL, I made this statement sometime back that, you know, when the Winfield Police Department, when it was cut back, and I'm not criticizing the city officials of Winfield, but, you know, we really didn't realize how valuable the Winfield Police Department was, because that was an area in Winfield that most of the time we didn't have to have county officers. Winfield took care of it. And since that department has, you know, been depleted the way it is, you know, now we have to put officers up there too. So, you know, if Huntsville had its own police force, would it make a difference? In some areas, yes, it would, because, you know, they would take care of the city of Huntsville. But even at that, you have to realize that Huntsville and Winfield and even Oneida are in the county. So county law enforcement officers are there anyway. You know, we work all over the place.
So really, the first line of I guess officials would be your town officials, but then when it comes to push to shove, then the county can take over any case that they may have or may not have, can't they?
Well, it's
Then the
just like
state-
Oneida. We don't take over anything in Oneida. I mean, we have a great working relationship with the police department in Oneida. As you know, I was the chief of police up there for 15 years. Now Darrell is the chief up there, and we have a great working relationship with them. Just the other night, one of their officers were out with us on a raid in the county. You know, we go on raids with them in Oneida, and they go on raids with us in the county.
So you're saying, because of what you said about Winfield, it would be a benefit to the county, or if Huntsville had their own.
Well, sure, it would. You know, it would be a benefit. It sure wouldn't hurt anything.
Wouldn't hurt nothing. Okay.
More manpower.
More manpower. Okay, because I mean, and I know we got all night to answer questions, and I want to, whenever these folks ask them, we'll try to get it, and we'll get right back on this drug thing. Because one of the things that was actually concerning me, how was people cooking this stuff? It don't require a fire, does it?
No.
That's the lithium batteries now. They've created different ways that, you know, when the laws change, they change with the laws.
This is the cook right here. That's your oven.
That's it.
That's the oven.
So, whenever you hear somebody say, "Well, we found a meth lab that had 21 cookers in it," it's
Well,
just 21.
We've actually done one raid where what was it, 63, Chris?
63 bottles.
63 of these.
63.
Yeah, times that they had cooked off.
Okay, what does a dealer usually sell that for? I mean, now that don't do anything except it produces a something that looks like soap,
Sort of like soap, yes.
sort of like soap, and they cut that stuff apart. Now here's what I'm trying to get at. I know that there's something that happened right here in this county not long ago, that there was an accident. And I found out that these people were going to a pain clinic to get drugs, prescription drugs. They bring those pain clinic prescription drugs back to Scott County. They sell them to people that got enough sense at least not to get on this, because they know this is going to kill them in a short time. 5 or 6 years is a long time once you get totally hooked on meth, right?
If you're using it on a regular basis. Yeah.
And they sell that to buy stuff to make meth.
Well, they've got a double problem.
Yeah.
You know, they're probably using prescription pills too, right along with this. We often find that.
But the thing about it is, if they're getting those pills free, usually at a pain clinic, they're getting them free because their insurance is paying for them, or our Medicare or Medicaid or whatever.
So initially they're getting meth free.
They're getting meth free.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
true.
is that why it's growing so fast?
I think it's growing fast just because it's easy to do now. It's quick, easy, and we've arrested a high school student that's done it before. I mean, it's easy to do. It's 45 minutes in this bottle, and it's done.
We actually had one night we almost had one of these explode on us because we went in right in the middle of it, and in the process of us arresting the people that were cooking it, this bottle it started expanding. I don't know if I can see this, but it started expanding, started swelling because it wasn't being burped off, and Kris had to don a mask real quick and run in and get it and burp it off to keep it from exploding. And when you hear about meth fires, that's what happens. These things explode.
Okay, now, if it had exploded and got on you, they'd had to done detox or something.
Decontamination,
Yeah.
He would have been burnt.
I would have been burnt. And even through the meth suits that we have meth suits from the Tennessee Meth Task Force that were supplied through them, through one of their grants. And even in those suits, we only have a certain flash rate and a certain amount of time to get it off. So I would probably still have been burnt, yeah.
So, because you're saying that this, because the boiling point is 212 degrees is the boiling point, but those lithium strips will get, whenever it touches liquid, it will get up to 600 degrees.
It flashes at 600 degrees. That's the flash point. Not just any liquid. The common fuel don't do anything to it. It's what starts the cooking is when they add the water. When they add the water to the lithium, that's when it starts flashing inside the bottle.
Oh, okay.
And if it's, what we're saying about a 600-degree flash point is if this is not mixed right and it's not handled properly, it can flash at 600 degrees.
Which will in turn catch the common fuel on fire, and it'll be an explosion.
Go ahead.
It's hard to explain the science of it without giving away anything that we don't want nobody to know.
Okay, I'll ask that question. That's a very good question, sir. Okay, I'll ask that question. Okay, appreciate you. Okay, thank you. Very, very good question. If, like, someone is, well, I'm adding a little bit to this, but let's just say I'm a landlord and I've got rental property. How can I easily detect that my property has been, or even where I live with my, if I've got kids or whatever, that there has been meth used in my home or my property?
Made in it, made
Yeah.
in that property. You need to look for all this stuff. This stuff right here is what you need to look for.
But is there anything that where they any kind of equipment that you could bring in to see if the place is actually contaminated, and if you suspect that, is there a cost to that? That's the reason why
There is. What they have is something called a Drager tool, and it's where we take the tool in and it actually takes our samples of the house, and then we got some ion swabs that we can do where we swab like the floor or the walls, and we send it into the TBI, and they'll tell whether any methamphetamine is on the swab or any chemicals are on the swab.
Appliances, we've done appliances before and they've came back positive.
So what would you recommend that happens to that? And let's go to break, and we'll be back out of these words from our sponsors to get an answer to that question. Okay, we're back, folks. Don't forget West Ready Mix making this possible, one of our sponsors. And you know, right now it is the time while the ground is soft, where gravels will actually pack down and you don't lose them over your dish and they get washed away or this and that. And it's a good time for concrete. You got the next 4 or 5 days here before it's going to start raining again. If you need a, call West Ready Mix at 569-6432. Okay, we was on the question of cleaning up or whatever, and we also had Pines Oil. Is Pines Oil used in meth?
Let me finish up the house cleanups. You know, for landowners, it's very important if you've got rental property, you need to do inspections of that rental property and detect this as soon as possible. It usually takes a hazmat team if very much at all has been cooked in your house, your rental property. And if you can call Kris at the sheriff's office, we've got numbers for hazmat teams that can come in and clean this up. We'll assist you in any way that we can. We have in the past people with rental property, giving them suggestions on how to clean it up. So if you'll just call us and keep an eye on your property, and when you see this, you need to take immediate action.
Let me just ask you this question about that. Let's just say, because in La Follette, and I know you're aware of this particular thing where this woman and a child got killed with something was supposed to be a gas stove exploding and all this and that, and they arrested the man for drugs. And well, that family moved over into another house. He got the 2 other children. They arrested him 2 or 3 months ago, and he had those children in the house with him making meth. Now, what's the hazard? What's the danger to those kids for their future health?
Well, RL, we've actually seen kids in houses where this is being done at. They've got chemical burns on them. We have found these things laying next to bottles that they're feeding their children with. And we have to get a hold of the Department of Child Services, and we've actually had to take children to Children's Hospital to get their blood tested to see what all the chemicals that are in their system. And that's the hazards to these young kids. You know, there's nothing more disturbing to any law enforcement officer, because we're parents too, is that when we see little children exposed to this stuff right here.
And what's the long-term effect on those possible illnesses?
Well, you know, the kid's brain is developing. It's just developing. Their whole body is just developing. It can actually slow growth. It can slow development of the brain. You know, but with early treatment, the good thing about kids is that they're resilient. They can overcome this if we can get them out of it.
The only long-term effect I've seen so far on a child is respiratory. Children with breathing problems become asthmatic and stuff because of it, have to be on breathing treatments or oxygen machines to sleep, develop sleep apnea just over inhalation of the chemicals.
Well, sleep apnea kills you. You know, I had sleep apnea, and I was operated on it, one of the first ever operated on it in East Tennessee, almost 20, well, it was over 20 years ago. And in fact about it, my oldest son, his best friend's 45 years old, truck driver, sleep apnea. Or he owned a trucking company in Knoxville. Best friends. Him and his wife went out one night just for birthday or something other and enjoying himself. And they come home and after a good night out, having a good time, and he had one of those PAP machines, and he didn't put it on. 45 years old. He never woke up. Sleep apnea is a dangerous thing, and if I couldn't rest if I thought my son or anybody was had something like that that caused my child to have sleep apnea. Now we had another question we need to answer. Pines Oil.
It's not used.
It's not used.
Not used
in the manufacturing.
Now we have some of the stuff that is used in this, right, with us tonight. We're going to show it to you folks, some of it. We're not going to show you how to mix it or anything
What
like
was
that.
the other question? We had another one too.
I'll think of it just in a minute.
Pseudoephedrine.
Oh yeah, Sudafed. That's
Yeah, I did. You know, we had several bills in the state legislature the last go around, and one of those was to make pseudoephedrine a prescription drug. The pharmaceutical companies didn't like that bill, and they really fought us hard. But now I have to give, you know, our guys, Yeager and Kiesling, credit. We did get a good bill passed, which was, you know, we're able to track a lot of the pseudoephedrine buys now. Won't say how we do that, but to me, you know, the easiest way to put out a fire is to smother it. You take away that #1 ingredient, which is air, oxygen. You know, I think the only way you're ever going to really clamp down on this is you've got to take the main ingredient. They have to have pseudoephedrine to cook this stuff with, to make it.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. Good question. Just hold it right there. I'm going to ask that question, and you can ask me so they can be talking, okay? Why is it there's certain arrests that you make that you some houses are immediately quarantined and some are not? People are allowed to continue to live in them.
Some of them are immediately quarantined because we've caught them in the act of cooking the meth, or we found the chemicals, dangerous chemicals inside the residence, and we've rated. It's rated by tiers, tier 1, 2, or 3. We can come back during investigation upon interviewing people, suspects and stuff about the residence. We do come back and quarantine. Some we don't. It depends on it. Through an investigation, we don't want to quarantine someone's home that don't need to be quarantined.
So actually, RL, some people are actually smart enough not to cook this inside their house. They may cook it outside in the woods or something.
Now your second question, real quick. Oh, okay. Listen, I understand your question. Let me go ahead and ask it because that's something that we had discussed before, okay? Okay, thank you. Now, folks, I will get to your phone calls, but we had planned on to take 6, 7 calls. The way we're handling it, I think the sheriff and our drug...
We're above that right now.
Yeah,
Let me finish for you, saying something about the pseudoephedrine RL. You know, one of the arguments against making pseudoephedrine a prescription drug was that it would make it put a hardship on people that really have to have pseudoephedrine. Now, there are people that have to have it because of allergies or whatever. And one of the suggestions that that law enforcement made to those against that argument was that we know that doctors can write long-term prescriptions. You know, one of the things that we suggested was to be able for the state legislature to protect doctors. Because doctors can be the key to this, but they need protections when they would write these prescriptions, and they could write them for long term.
Go ahead. Yes. Wait, I'm going to ask them a question, then I'm going to let you. I'm sorry, I might have been. The question here is, how many times does a person have to get caught before they can't get out of jail?
That's not up to us.
But again, what would you recommend? Go ahead.
Every time that we catch them breaking the law, we're taking them to jail. Every single time. No matter how many times they've been caught.
We can't incarcerate.
Okay, I'll tell my guy to check it, okay? Okay, thank you.
We can't incarcerate and keep people in jail for the rest of their lives over this, RL. I mean, it's no secret right now that we're overcrowded in our jail now. Friday, we actually sent 10 state inmates to regional, and that's the first state inmates that we've gotten rid of in several months. So you just can't build enough jails to keep people in jail that do this stuff. You know, some people are spending a year or 2 in jail over it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, some people are spending a year or 2 in jail over stuff like this, but what compounds this problem is that people that get addicted to this, we all know they're not working, but they commit other crimes, mostly property crimes, to be able to feed this stuff. And And, you know, we're finding that they're selling prescription drugs, and then making meth, getting on the meth. So there's just not enough room in our jails. The jails in Tennessee right now
Okay,
and the
thanks.
prisons are overcrowded. Every jail is overcrowded. It's on the news all the time about our jails being overcrowded. Our prisons are overcrowded. I hope to be able to decrease my population in the jail sometime in the next 2 weeks by 10 more state inmates. That's going to give us a little room to maneuver, because there have been criminal court dates that that 10 or 20 people have been released, and we've gotten 25 in.
Folks, hold your calls for a few minutes, because we've got enough questions right now, but we'll get back, because they've agreed to stay the whole 2 hours if it takes it. So we'll get to your questions. But let's just say that I've got someone that's, they've been arrested 3 times for using meth. You've actually caught them in the process. And you take them to jail, and they can't get out. Hold your calls, folks. I don't want to answer any more calls right now, because I really do. I want to give them a chance to answer some questions here. And they get out. Their parents can't afford the bond, and you see 6 or 8 lawyers standing in the courthouse at all times. And this meth thing is causing, not only the meth is killing our people, but a lot of mothers and fathers and grandmas and grandpas, to take care of their grandchildren and their children, to pay fines out there for them. And they just it's a revolving door, and they probably, for the last 10 years, they've been on probation for 10 years. And they come back and they just go right back.
Well,
I know that you can't, but I want your thought on it.
All right, we don't make the system.
I know that.
We work within the system. Now, here's one of the things that we try to do, and you know, sometimes judges and law enforcement and district attorneys, they get criticism over this. A lot of it goes back to what I just talked about. Our jails are overcrowded. We don't have the capacity to put a lot of these people in jail. Now there are things that are being discussed about ankle bracelets.
Well, now I know this gentleman asked this question. How many times do I have to continue to pay a parole officer to take care of the same problem? How many years? Is it doing any good?
You know, RL, I wished I had a definitive answer for you. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we're ever going to arrest, prosecute, or make enough laws to get ourselves out of this mess. We're never going to beat this that way. There has to be a cultural change. We have to reach people to teach them to stay off this stuff. And that's why we go into the schools and we're trying to teach people. Now, personally, I believe that we've taken God out of everything and everything else has moved in, and this is just another example of it. You know, when I remember when I was in elementary school.
Folks, hold your calls.
You know, when I was in elementary school, we used to recite the Lord's Prayer. Well, now that's illegal. That's illegal. But we provide kids with a good education here in Scott County, I think. I mean, I don't think anybody can complain about the schools that we have in Scott County. But wouldn't it be a good idea to try to teach these kids, give these kids a belief system that they can resist this with? You know, nowadays 2 parents are working. Kids spend a lot of time alone. You know, I think the Boys and Girls Club is one of the greatest things we ever came up with.
Hold your calls, folks.
But I do believe, and I earnestly believe this, that we have to give them a belief system that they can resist this stuff with. And here's what I have noticed over the years that I have been in law enforcement. Faith-based rehab centers have a good success rate of getting people off this stuff. Now, sometimes they may have to go back 2 times or 3 times. I have never seen in my life something that has such a hold on people as this stuff does, meth and prescription drugs. I've never seen that. Alcoholism is nothing compared to this stuff. It destroys people's will, I believe, to succeed and get off of this stuff. And I've talked to people. I talked to a young man some years back, and I asked him, I said, why are you using meth? You know it's going to kill you. And he looked at me, and we had a discussion about it. And I told him, I said, son, I said, that stuff's going to kill you. And this was a good young man. He wasn't a bad young man. Very smart. Thought the world of him. But yet, we had him in jail. And I had this discussion with him, and he just told me, he said, Mike, I can't quit. I cannot quit. Some years later, about 2 years later, I was zipping a body bag up over that young man's head because he died from it.
Well, I'm going to ask you that question myself. How many deaths would you say that we've had in Scott County that really hasn't been reported as drug deaths in the last 10 years?
Don't know. Chris and I talked about that a couple of years ago, that there's never really been statistics that's been kept in Scott County on drug-related deaths.
Because, I think that we have a lot of 50s and 40s and 50 and 60-year-old people that's actually dying from these drug overdoses and that's not being reported.
Well, you remember before the county priors, we got that started, RL. You remember we had months. We had 2 or 3 or 4 months there that we had multiple deaths from drug overdoses.
Right.
Multiple deaths. And that's frightening. There was 2 little kids that I knew their father, and he got killed in an accident, and then their mother died. That's 2 little kids at grandparents. You're talking about grandparents. There's nothing more disturbing than that. They lost their mother to drugs.
Okay, now I'm going to try to I've still got a couple of questions, and I lose them, folks, if I take too many. And I want to ask your question because I know what this one person was wanting to get at. Why, or is there any reason that we can't take county property, put tents out like they do in Arizona, and if the third time they don't get out, but can we afford that? Could we feed them?
RL, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but I catch criticism right now for arresting so many people because it's costing us. So I don't know how many more people we can arrest. I do know this much: I ain't quitting. I'm going to continue to arrest people. When I've got room for them in jail, I'm going to fill it back up. Because here's why.
Well, when it gets full, what are you going to do?
Here's why.
Hold your calls, folks.
You would not believe the condition of some of these people when they come into our jail, into our facility. And I'm not going to go into real specific details, but some of these people are near death. I mean, they're in bad shape.
There's no question.
And we nurse them back to health. We get them back on their feet. We're not a hospital. We're not a rehab center or anything else. We're a jail. But we have to get these people back on their feet. Literally, some of them we've saved their lives. And then, after that jail sentence is up, far too many of them are going right back out into society and starting the process all over again. We can't keep them away from this once they get out.
What this person is saying, and I'm trying, and believe me, I'm trying to get your answer for you. His basically saying is, after the 3rd or 4th time, why can't we, something will decide that we're not going to arrest this one or whatever, and we're not going to put them into the courts. We're going to either make a decision to let them go or whatever. We're going to keep these people that just will not, and you're getting ammo ambulance calls or you're getting sheriff's calls. You got all this trouble going on all the time because you know which house to go to when you get a call half the time, don't you?
Yeah. Or let me.
Why can't we just take those people and put them in jail, lock the door?
Let me explain something to you.
And I know you have to go by the law, but
Well, that's what I'm getting at is this. Do you know what our forefathers had in mind when they came up with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights?
oh yeah,
It was to protect the people against the government. That's why they came up with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Who's the government?
we.
You're looking at them right here, me and Chris. We are the government.
Well, I am the government
You
because
know-
I vote.
I'm the government. I'm what our forefathers developed the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to protect people from. So there is a framework. Now, over the years, it's been modified by this court and that court, mostly the Supreme Court, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which we're under. That has been modified by different court proceedings. Joe, Sheriff Joe is what they call him, on his tents and stuff.
Yes.
He's been in federal court, I don't know how many times over that. How much money can we afford to defend Mike Cross in federal court because he's got prisoners in tents out there? I guarantee you it's not cheap.
Oh, I know it's not cheap,
It costs a lot of money.
but I guess and I might get in trouble for what I'm fixing to say, folks. If we can't take the people that's causing the 10% of the people that's causing 90% of the problems, if we can't incarcerate them, why are we even arresting them?
Well, Ariel, let me tell you something. When I first took over as sheriff, I sat down with a team of officers out there, and we looked at the probation violation warrants. Now, it's a common fact, and of course, I'm going to use different numbers than you. You can take about 20%. You can take about 20% of the individuals that were in that book for probation violation for whatever reason. There was a warrant on them. You can take that, and they were responsible for 75 or 80% of the crimes. And we targeted those individuals to get those warrants served and get them into jail. Now, there was times that when we actually apprehended one of those individuals, you could actually see the crimes that they were committing. It dropped. The bottom dropped out of it just because we got that one individual and got him put in jail. And sometimes we had added additional charges to it. But that begs the question: what do we keep in jail? Do we keep violent offenders in jail? Do we keep people that are committing property crimes in jail, or do we keep drug offenders in jail? I don't have the answer to
Well, listen, I think if and again, I'm running my mouth, folks, but if I've got somebody that I know is stealing, doing drugs, and having all kinds of problems, beating their wives or their children or this and that, I'd put them in jail and throw the key away. But you can't do that. I know that. But I would hope that our judges would some way just change that procedure, because if you know that you can take a person out of the system that's doing that much crime, and you can see it has to go down because you got.
And they did. Those people are still in jail.
They should never be able to get out.
Ariel, believe it or not, we actually have a pretty good system here in Scott County. Now, we do. Our district attorney's office know who these chronic offenders are. And that's the ones that they really try to work hand in hand with us to get them off the streets and into the jail. And the reason I don't talk about judges is, and to be honest with you, those judges know the same thing.
Well, Judge Cotton told me.
They know the same thing.
I went and sat down and talked to Judge Cotton.
Yeah, they know the same thing.
And Judge Cotton told me, he said, Ariel, right now, I can send out at least 200 warrants. But where do we put them?
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm talking to you about. Judges know that. We have to work within the system that we have.
We'll be back after these words from our sponsors, and we'll take more of your calls when we come back. Okay, we're back, and folks, West Ready Mix is bringing you tonight's show. And you know, many times as I've told you, I can't say it any better than tell you, whenever the ground is soft, if you pay for a ton of gravels, you get the use of a ton of gravels. Whenever it's really hard and dusty, and you think it is going to do the job, you're going to probably lose 40% of those because they're going to go in the ditch and wash away. Right now is the time to do it when your ground's real soft. That's West Ready Mix. Okay, you had some announcements you wanted to make with.
All right, just let me make a few announcements here. I'd like to remind everybody that our countywide prayers this Friday at 7 o'clock, and we'll be down on the mall. I'd like to invite everybody to come. And remember, you don't have to belong to a church to come to this. You'll have a good time while you're there, and you may even learn something. So remember, the countywide prayer this Friday at 7 o'clock. If you're a civic group or you have a group of people, remember we have the meth video that we've been showing to civic groups. If you would like to have that, have us come and show it to your organization, just contact Kris at the Sheriff's Department, 663-3111. This Saturday is our countywide cleanup.
Hello.
We will be at those sites showing people about this right here.
This is Kris.
Showing people what not to pick up.
Hey, buddy.
One thing that's became very popular is our cemetery cleanup crew that we take out every year when weather permits it. If you do have a cemetery that's needing to be cleaned up, and I know sometimes that's a hard issue with people, if you'll contact me at the Sheriff's Department, 663-3111.
You know what I mean?
We'll try to get that this summer for you. Sometimes it takes us a while to get to them because sometimes we get quite a few of them to clean up.
I understand.
So remember, countywide prayer this Friday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, we gotta go.
Well, it's the nature of the beast, ain't it?
Okay,
Okay, here he is.
Okay, just hold on a minute. The question is, we got a caller that says he's wanting to buy a house, but he's afraid he don't know how it's being used or anything. Could you enlighten us a little bit on someone that's really, really, really interested in buying a house, but they're really concerned about what may or may not be in that house?
Yeah, what they can do is if they'll call me at the Sheriff's Department, I can give them information about previous history of the house that we know about.
If we have any.
If we have any. Also, in my opinion, if I'm looking at buying a home, I'm going to probably look for something that's don't have any carpet, because carpet can hold, phosphine gases and chemicals up and under it that no one can see, the human eye can't see. Or I would probably stick with laminate flooring. That way, it's easier to clean. And the actual gas itself can't be stored underneath the laminate flooring.
So you'd have a hard time actually recognizing it through the carpet unless you had a chemical company that does stuff like that come in and do testing.
Right.
And that's could be.
It has to be cleaned professionally.
Yes.
And it could be very expensive just to get an opinion, right?
Yes, and if people want those numbers to the hazmat crews and the chemical hygienists that test for this stuff, if they'll call me, I can get them in contact with a whole list of them.
And that number is 663-3611?
It's at 3111.
3111.
3111?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
3111.
Okay. And now, they've hung up on me. There was another question. See, I told you folks, I'm getting old.
That happens to everybody, all right.
Yeah, the other question was they would like for you all to go through what we got on the desk here and some of the other chemicals and stuff like that where we could, and I swear, Art, I'm going to unplug this phone.
First, I'll start out with
ask
this.
your question.
This is the bottle. What a discarded meth lab looks like. It's kind of dried up a little bit. This is what the children are finding in the woods where we're getting calls to go pick it up. These are the dangerous balls that they're finding in the woods. This is actually a bottle of a meth lab, what it would look like in process of manufacturing the meth inside of it. As you can see, the black lithium strips inside it, and it's more liquidy than the discarded one is after it dries.
All of these are safe. These are the ones that Kris made up. They look identical to the real thing.
Yeah. These right here are gas generators. This is what they use as process also. to go with this bottle. Discarded or found in the actual lab, it's still going to be about the same.
Okay.
It's going to be salt, clumps of salt, and a type of chemical that's put inside the bottle, which creates a gas that's very dangerous to inhale. So,
Go ahead.
these are some chemicals that are used to manufacture meth. You got liquid fire, and once again, we're not going to give you all the chemicals or how it is put together. We got Drano, crystal drain opener, and the main ingredient that everyone's talking about, the hot topic, is this pseudoephedrine.
Yes, but I'll ask that question. Okay. Thank you.
We also have
Coleman fuel.
can of Coleman fuel. There's all kinds of, basically what I tell people in my presentation is everything that it takes to manufacture meth, minus the cold pills, has a skull and crossbones on it that says do not ingest, do not put in your body, harmful if ingested. If you ingest, cause a poison control. But these guys are mixing all this stuff together, adding a cold pill, and making a drug out of it.
So that Claritin D is something that they use?
This Claritin D is just an example. I have other name brands, but anything with pseudoephedrine in it.
Oh, so but now I can buy a Claritin D without having to get that little card and go to the pharmacy, can't I?
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
you have to register when you buy it.
Yeah, you have to get the card and go to the pharmacy because this one contains 240 milligrams of pseudoephedrine.
So, so anyway, the 14 people, because all the thing they have to do is go register at the counter and pick up that little card and go down, and they go back and just get it and bring it to you.
And you have to provide them your driver's license
Okay. Now, see,
and sign for
a
it.
lot of people don't realize this, but the
These up here.
first day of April, you know, all any chemical that was sold, it has to be put in the computer, and who purchased that and what have you.
Yeah.
Believe this or not, I was sitting and talking to a pharmacy, the guy that owned the pharmacy or the drugstore, whatever. And while I was sitting there, a doctor called him and said, was asking questions about this computer thing and how can I tell that, because this person's come in here and basically telling me what's wrong with him, and this is what I'm going to write a prescription for. Now I need to know if he's already done this today. He's with a guy, the pharmacist sitting there, he said, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to tell you. You're supposed to tell me. It's the doctor's responsibility to know where this, and go on the computer and find out if this guy's already got it from another doctor.
Yeah, as of April the 1st, the new law says that if you're a long-term, like a pain clinic or a doctor, and you're going to prescribe, I think it's a benzo or some type of controlled substance, basically, that you have to check the registry before you write the prescription to see if the individual has already been prescribed that.
And so, in fact about it, I mean, I'm talking April the 1st. I'm sitting there last Monday, and
That's
he
when the new
he
law.
opened up he said, yeah, he's already got a prescription. He's already had it filled.
Yeah, well, with any new system or any new law, RL, it takes, you have that, what I call lag time, before everybody gets up to speed on it.
Yeah.
So those glitches will probably iron themselves out in just a short period of time.
Okay, well now Speedy called and he said, why won't you guys just tell him, hey, you're on this stuff, if you don't quit it's going to kill you, and shouldn't that work? I believe you've already said it a couple times tonight, but
I have.
It doesn't work, does it?
Doesn't work.
And how many people have you actually arrested when and you've been in office now, what, 2 years?
2.5, something like that.
Yeah, 2 years and whatever
Yeah.
months from August.
Starting my 3rd year.
Yeah. And how many people that you've actually arrested, and Kris, you've been in it 5 years now, that you've seen them come into the system as far as users or whatever, how many of them have you actually put in body bags? I know you said you put one.
No, I put more than that.
I know you said, I mean, tonight you said you've put one
Well,
for sure.
that's the one that bothered me the worst.
Just for meth? or
Well,
For
last
drug
year,
use.
we arrested solely on drug charges. I believe it was 552 people, Chris.
it was something like that.
I believe it was 552 people last year just on drug charges. Drug charges alone.
Uh-huh.
That's 552 people.
So how many of those people have you put into body bags? See, we were talking off the air, you know, there's so many people in their 40s and 50s and 60s that wasn't reported as drug deaths.
Yeah, I don't.
Would you say that just,
I can sit right off the top of my head and think of at least 10 people.
that no
Yeah.
one had even suspected that?
No, that I know was actual deaths related to drug overdoses.
One that sticks out in my mind is an individual that we usually indicted from time to time. We would catch, well, about every single indictment round we'd catch him for selling pills, and we had stopped him on a traffic stop, and he looked real bad. And then I seen this guy start into it and progress up, and I think I actually made the statement I wasn't too sure if he was going to make it to the next indictment time to be picked up again, and he didn't. He made it about another week and a half and overdosed.
That's just so sad.
Well, it's we're not just police officers. I mean, it's
All
people
right.
people think we're robots. We're
I
becoming
Go ahead, Chris.
we're becoming counselors to these people. Also, we're becoming, you know, we're trying to talk them out of using the stuff. Putting handcuffs on, put them in jail is not the solution.
It's not working, is it?
No.
It's not working. I remember one individual RL some years ago. In Oneida, I actually told the officers not to arrest him anymore. I said, look, don't arrest him. When you catch him in the state that he's in, call an ambulance to come and get him. I said, don't bring him to this jail. I said, because he's not going to make it. And I said, just call an ambulance, have them come get him. They can transport him to ER, and then they can fix him up and send him on. And about 6 to 7 months later, he was dead.
Okay. Now, another call that I got, I guess I've let them just ring out, was this one person just called and said, why do we furnish them lawyers? Why can't they just pay, if they can't afford their own lawyer, just put them in jail, and why does the taxpayers have to keep paying?
You'll have to ask somebody else that question beside us, because we don't make those decisions. Those decisions have been made by Supreme Court long time ago.
That's really part of our Constitution.
That they have a right to be represented.
Right.
And if they can't afford one, if they can't afford attorney, one is appointed to them.
Right.
You know,
And I'm going to tell you, folks, in Scott County, Campbell County, and most of the, especially northern states or counties that it's in the poor region, there's a good living in being a lawyer, because all you got to do is go to the courthouse every Monday or Wednesday or whatever they have court, and you're going to get appointed to case, because what's some of their caseloads is probably some of them got 8 or 10.
well, RL, the easiest way to answer that is just look at the Independent Herald and Scott County News every week. You can see who we arrested the week before.
I know, I look at that, but what I'm saying, how many and how many of those people actually have their own pay for their own lawyers? It's court appointed, and you can go out there and you will see. I mean, some of those, I bet you that there's some of those lawyers that's court appointed. And I'm not saying anything negative about the lawyers. They're out there doing what our Constitution says, that everybody, if they can't afford a lawyer for their defense, then one will be appointed, and because everybody should have representation.
Well, I have a very good friend that's an attorney, RL, and my joke to him always is that, you know what 100 dead lawyers at the bottom of the lake is? He always looks at me and says, I know what you're fixing to say. I said, a good start. And that's a joke, folks. Don't call your lawyer friend, tell him I'm bad mouthing.
Yeah, well, anyway, now I'm ready for another call or two. I just had to, because, again, yes, our court-appointed lawyers are paid by our taxpayers. Now, I don't know what their rates are, that we have to actually pay per hour for.
I don't know either, RL.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, well, that's about the 4th or 5th, and I've talked to Art, and he says he's got it turned up as high as it'll go. Or as he can turn it. I don't know why it's bad, but okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Your question, please. Well, like I say, if I've got 4 or 5 going, what is it? Remind me again. No, listen, I think that they've answered that for you, that the crystal meth's probably coming in from Atlanta, but most of this stuff is being made right here in Scott County itself. Okay? And I'll go ahead and ask the other question. Thanks for the call. See, when you're asking a question, folks, I can't take the elaboration what you think about it. Just ask the question and let them tell you what they think about it, because I understand it, but anyway.
The reason we use Atlanta a lot, and it's not just Atlanta, is everybody knows there's a big connection between Scott County and certain parts of Georgia.
Right.
You know, there's places in Georgia that they'll call them Little Scott County, because there's a lot of people from Scott and Campbell and Fentress and different people living there, but there's a big connection between Scott County and places in Georgia.
Okay, now her other question was, why is doctors actually, or at what level can doctors prescribe prescriptions for what level, how old or how young can you be?
That's up to them, as far as I know. I mean, I don't. That's probably a question that you would have to ask doctors. I'm sure they've got guidelines that they have to go by. I mean, you know, medically, I'm sure they have to need that drug before they.
But now there is one probably that's not come up here. Do you know that, folks, at the end of this month, unless the Supreme Court or somebody knocks it down, that you can actually go, any young girl that's age of puberty can actually go to the drugstore and get the morning after pill. Legal. Go ahead. Okay. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. I don't know who I ought to ask this question or not, because I'm sure that neither one of these guys has ever had that feeling. But, and I know I haven't, what does meth make you feel like?
Well, I tell you, I was talking to an individual once, RL, and this is the best description of it that I can find. The individual looked at me and said, Mike, think of that moment in your life that you was the happiest. That happiest moment in your life that you just felt so great that you would like to feel like that all the time. And I said, okay. He said, now multiply that 1,000 times. He said, that's what it felt like the first time I used meth. And I said, okay. But you do know that that stuff is going to destroy you, just a little bit at a time. He said, look at me. He said, I know it's destroying me. He said, but I can't quit it. So that is the best description of it. And I said, okay. I said, I'm sure that was a little amount, small amount that you used that first time. He said, oh yeah.
Go ahead.
It was a small amount. He said, now I'm using 10 times what I used that first time. And I've never had that feeling again. He said, I'm still chasing it. I'm still trying to get back there. So, like I said, I have never seen anything that gets such a hold on people as meth and some of these prescription pain pills. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I'll ask the question. I got you. Thank you. He said that you had made a statement that most of the people that's on this stuff or whatever don't work, or they're on some kind of government assistance.
I don't think either one of us mentioned government assistance.
I don't remember.
But Or how you going to work if you're on this stuff? You can't work. I know people we had 2 people in Campbell County, from Campbell County that came over here, and we caught them with meth over here. They had came over here to actually buy the stuff that you manufacture it with. And then when they were stopped, they actually had meth on them. Their father, the boy's father, came over to our facility and wanted to talk to me. And I went out to talk to him. He told me, this is what he told me. He said, he said those 2 lived in a $360,000 home. He said together they probably made $200-something thousand a year between them. He said, no, they ain't got nothing. He said, haven't got anything. And it was because of this stuff right here. Literally.
Well, he's saying that if there's anybody caught that is on any kind of government assistance, should that be taken away from them?
RL, that's not a decision for us to make, but I'll make this statement. Out of the people that we have arrested for meth and pain pills, to this date, I don't think, of the people that were on government assistance, even with TennCare, I don't think there's been one of them kicked off TennCare. And we've reported them.
See, that, I'm just going to use it. If you got a little small kid or something watching, just have them leave the room. I'll give you 5 seconds. That's what pisses me off, because I had someone I call brother got cut off of TennCare because he did not couldn't afford to pay for his doctor bills or anything else, and he chose to, rather than lose his home and stuff, he just chose to die. And you know him, J.T. Gibson. And then these people that's on this meth and all this other stuff, and they still get TennCare. I'd like to know. I mean,
it happens.
We do report them to the TennCare agent.
And they should not get nothing. If they can't try to help themselves, why should we continue to help them?
Well, one of the things I suggested to people at the state level was that when people are on TennCare and they have children, and we catch these parents with manufactured meth and prescription drugs and stuff like that, and I think you're seeing a move toward this, is that you kick them off, but you leave the kids on.
Oh, you got to take care of the kids. I agree with that. Go ahead. So what kind of Suboxone?
Suboxone. That'll be one for you, my man.
Do you guys have any trouble with them, or do you think they should be?
We don't have. I've never had
Thanks for the call.
I've never had trouble out of a clinic. We do now see a lot of Suboxone, which is a Schedule III controlled substance. People are selling Suboxone just as much as they were selling the other drug.
I never heard of it before, but before I forget, there was a caller saying, Kris, you just don't know how many people out there that do appreciate you and back you as far as being the drug officer and think you're doing a very good job.
He catches a lot of flack, but he's doing a job that most people won't do.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes. Yep. Okay. I'll mention that. But I won't, and I'll do it in a very professional way. Okay.
That don't sound good, RL. People stopping cars.
Okay, but thank you. Okay. And I'm glad that this person reminded me of this. I was in a one of these places where you have a lot of stuff that's coming like from Rite Aids and these drug stores and stuff like that, springing up everywhere. And I was in one.
Talking about the whatnot shops or whatever.
Yeah, I was in one in La Follette. This has been 3 or 4 years ago, and I just going around because they were advertising with me, and the owner was going around, and what he'd do, he had these big boxes, so he'd just come out and dump out a box whenever it started getting low or whatever, and he was going through every one of them, and everything that had something like that, it had, and he was going through it and saying, "Well, that's got Sudafed," and he'd pitch it and he's filling up this box with it. I wouldn't think he was selling it. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Anything that's got Sudafed in it, if they come in here and they see one box of that, I'll be arrested."
Yeah. We addressed that with the shops here that had this stuff right here at one time. I couldn't tell you, we had hundreds of boxes of that stuff stored in our vault at the office. The places here were real cooperative with us. We did notify the state that we did have places here in Scott County that were getting this stuff. Now, I don't know if they did it or not. What they do is they send an agent in that goes to those stores and they look for this stuff. And you know,
And if they find it, they can be arrested.
if they find it, they will do something about it. But I guess the good thing about it is those shops started turning this stuff over to us. We had garbage bags full of that stuff at one time that they were turning over to us. It really amazed us, and well, I don't know if I need to talk about that. We did arrest one individual that was selling this stuff bulk. I won't go into where he was getting it at, but he was selling it in bulk, and he was making quite a bit of money off of it. They'll actually pay people $25, $50 at a time to go buy this for them.
We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Okay, we're back again, folks. West Ready Mix. If you need anything, gravels, or you need concrete or whatever, be sure to call my friends out at West Ready Mix, 569-6432. And we got some more announcements, and I know we did have one caller say, "Well, when are they going to pick up?" And folks, I want to just make I guess a statement. You know, I live in the 1st District, and I went around till I got old. I picked up a lot of trash along the road, and I just got mad and said, "I'm not going to pick no more up. I'm tired of it. But I'm not going to never throw no more out." But you know, if I lived on the Winona Road, or if I lived on the Normal Road, I know one man, and I'm going to call his name, Billy Ray Silcox. He went over at one time and started to go picking up the normal, so I'm going to pick up the Normal Road all the way. Try to get volunteers to go with him to help some, and he done it, and it got it looking pretty good. It wasn't 2 weeks, it's right back like it was. I think what you have to do is you've got to talk to your friends and neighbors and say, we've had enough. We're going to turn people in. And when they get turned in, I hope that the I Spy thing that we have, and it's not run by you guys, it's actually run by your county mayor. I hope that, and because we do have a litter officer, don't we? Or someone that's supposed to be, that's got the grant. And
well, the litter grant, when you see, when I'm able to get an inmate crew out picking trash up, that litter grant actually pays for the bags and whatever else we need while we're out there picking that trash up.
I know at one time, whenever I was in, we actually had a litter officer. Campbell County has two.
I think what it is, I think they do have a litter officer. There's like 3 times a week or 4 times a week that he'll have 2 to 4 inmates out picking trash up. But you know, there's times that when I have them and I have time, and that we have time. A lot of times it's when we don't have court going on. I'll use one of the court officers and myself, and we'll put together an inmate crew, and we'll hit a road for probably 6, 7, 8 hours.
Well, I don't know where you ever heard it, but on my show here, sometime, it was last summer, I told people, I said, now I'm going to tell you something. If Mike Cross runs again, I'm voting for Mike Cross again for one reason. Other time it was for one reason. But it's another reason.
Well, I'm glad you got 2 reasons.
Well, this time is another reason. I actually seen you out with a crew picking up trash. I said, I seen him with my own 2 eyes right there at Rector Store that with a crew picking up trash.
Yeah, we were cleaning that up because of the festival.
And I said, at least I seen him out doing something. So anyway, you got 1 vote if you run again.
Well, at least I did something right there.
Okay, now you got some announcements.
Yeah, let me just remind everybody real quick about our county prayer Friday night at 7 o'clock on the mall. Again, we have a video on meth and drugs and stuff that we show to civic groups. If you want to contact Chris or myself, one at the office, 663-3111, we'd be more than happy to come and do that. Saturday is the county-wide cleanup. We will be at all the stations talking about the meth
Ain't what now?
objects that you see here and what not to pick up and what to look for. There was some question about our trash pickup crew. I just explained that when we have time and we have inmates that can do that. We do. Last year we did get quite a number of requests to clean cemeteries up. You can also call in about those. If I'm not available, leave the number with the secretaries and what it's about, and we'll get back with you on it. And we try to clean as many of those up in a year's time as we can.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we get quite a few of those requests, and then trying to pick trash up on the roads.
Okay.
Yeah, we stay quite busy, and there's only certain days out of the week that we can do those. But that's my announcements. Remember, countywide prayer Friday night at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, Miss Lloyd here saying that her son and his wife was doing that, picking up where I said, Mr. Silcock, and that they were using their own bags, but Silcock's Billy Ray went and got bags for them, and where they wouldn't have to use their own bags, and he helped them pick up too. But there's one officer said, one call here said, why isn't Kris Lewallen arresting more people on drugs? I think we answered that. Had no place to put them, didn't we?
Well, we have to abide by laws just like the average person does, and sometimes it takes time to investigate. We put time and effort, money into some of these operations, and sometimes it takes us literally months to pull them off. We try to arrest as many people as we can for drugs, and we're going to continue to do so. As RL said, we may have to put them in tents on the bullpen, but we're going to continue.
Okay, I'll let them know, okay? Okay, thank you. This is an unusual call. Said you guys just released him last week and he wants to thank you because he thought you just did an awful good job in treating him fair.
Well, we try to be a positive influence.
Are you drunk?
We try to be a positive influence on as many people as we can.
I'm just kidding.
But the truth of the matter is, RL, there's quite a few of these people that come into jail. They're not bad people.
Oh, I
They're
know
not bad people. They're people that have problems, drug problem, and hopefully they can get away from this stuff and won't be back in jail. Won't bother me if they don't come back to jail.
Okay, I'll ask them. I can't believe this call though, and tell me it's not right. He says, how could anyone be arrested 26 times for drugs and only serve 2 months in jail?
You'll have to ask somebody besides us.
But is it possible that you've arrested somebody 26 times?
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
No,
That don't
I
sound
don't think
right.
that's true.
Maybe 6 times.
Okay. But still, because I said a while ago, if you're arrested the 4th time, you ought to have to serve your whole time. You shouldn't be allowed out and have to pay a parole officer, because it just means they're going to go out there and steal something other to take that illegal money to the parole officer.
Ariel, it's funny that you say that, because I actually asked the district attorney's office once. I said, look, don't fine them. Don't make them pay any court costs or anything else, because if you do, they're just going to go burglarize another home and pay for it.
I'll vote for that. Go ahead. I'll ask him, but the question, the answer to that is that you can't do that because the state won't allow you. But here we go. Okay. So why don't we just start putting them back down here in the old jail?
That jail's been decommissioned by several different state agencies.
You can't. No way you could ever bring it back into compliance.
Well, you might spend $1 million and a couple $1 million to get it back into compliance, but that'd be it.
I doubt it. Go ahead. Your question, please. No, you got the wrong number. This is Channel 5. No problem. Thank you. You're on the air. Or your question, please. You want to take it?
Hello?
Make it quick, sir. Make it quick.
Well, I agree with you. I think I do too. The problem that I run into is literally I also have a family. I have a family. I could probably spend 24/7 out there if I needed to, and I would if that's what my boss told me to do. But my caseload it's very full, and I do also have a family that comes. I have church and then family that comes before my job. But I'm going to do the best I can and continue to do the best I can. I'm by myself here in the county. We now have a whole drug team put together, and it's helping a lot. So you might not see my name a lot, but you'll see other officers' names out there too now. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
We got this ears. Because they'll talk to you all night. You have to learn to let them go.
Yeah, all right.
Call
Well,
you
thanks for the good words there.
Question, please. Okay, that's a good question. Folks, please don't. I want to take 1 or 2 more calls, but this is a very important question. And think about it for a minute. Do you think that you get the right amount of support from your county commission in order to be as effective a law enforcement group as you? And elaborate on some of the things if you're liking or if you think it could be better.
As a whole, the mayor and the county commission has been excellent to work with. As a whole, do I have conflict with different people? Yes, I do. But as a whole, they've been good to work with. I understand that county commission is never going to see eye to eye with me on every issue, but there are issues to me that take precedence over others. And I've tried to do my best to work with those individuals, and will continue to do so. One of the things that I try to see everything from everybody's point of view. I do understand that this county got itself into a lot of debt. I have to say that our county mayor and our finance director, our finance committee, they are working hard to try to reduce that debt. Until that debt does get reduced, and it is, and I actually think they're doing a good job at doing that. I mean, I've sat in many a meeting with the finance director and talked to him about stuff and needs that the sheriff's department has to have. Do I have conflicts? Yes, I have conflicts, but as a whole, they've been ideal to work with. One of the biggest conflicts I have with one of the biggest conflicts, or the issue that we have the biggest conflict over, is vehicles. I would not want to be one of the officers driving a vehicle out there that's got 270,000 miles on it, doing the job they're doing. Now, the good thing about it is that we have an excellent mechanic, and he has the authority given to him by me that if he feels that car is unsafe, he is to park it, literally park it. And he has done that on occasion. But at some point in time, we've got to realize that having a patrol car out there with 270,000 miles on it, it was too much.
No question. That should be something.
250 is too much.
Yeah, something that should be a standard thing. It's just like.
Now, here's one of the things that I did work out with them, is that in the past they had to go borrow money to buy vehicles, and that debt was stacked up on itself. Now, one of the things that we have agreed upon is that those vehicles have to be put in the budget. I mean, we have to budget those vehicles, and we've been trying to budget 2 vehicles a year. Now, will 2 vehicles a year get us out of get rid of the vehicles with high miles on them? No, it won't. At some point in time, we're going to have to stretch that out there to 4 or 5 vehicles to get rid of it. But I understand that maybe in another couple of years, it may be easier to do that than it is now. One of the things I don't want to be responsible for is having them raise property tax to buy vehicles for the sheriff's department. I just will not do that. But now here's one of the things I will tell you. We budget about $700,000 a year from the state for state inmates. We have far exceeded that this year, because we have so far we have brought in $925,000 on state inmate fees. February's check will actually be coming in this month, and it'll be for somewhere right around $95,000. So we're going to get several more checks in there. So we're going to be well over the $1 million mark on state inmate fees.
Well, now
the downside to that is that each one of those state inmates can cost us $1,000 a year in medical bills. So if you had 70 inmates, of course not all 70 of them is going to have to go outside the facility.
Yeah.
But if you had 20 of them that had to go outside the facility for medical treatment, it's going to cost the taxpayers of Scott County $1,000. Now, the state will pick up all the rest of it and pay for it, but it will still cost us $1,000. Now, to me, that's minimum.
Well, that would be $20,000 away from $1 million or so. That's that's a pretty good. But now, folks, please hold your calls.
But now, county inmates, if they're in there and we have arrested them and they're pretrial detainees, which it means they're a county inmate, all those medical bills are ours. I mean, if they don't make bond and get out of jail and they're waiting on a court date or trial date or whatever, then they're ours. So there's pluses and minuses to everything that you do.
Hey, I'm not going to have time to do your question, okay? Thank you. I know we're running close to time, and there's a couple of more questions, folks, that I've been asked, and I can't take any more questions. Please don't call anymore. Please. Because there's a couple of things here that if you've been watching all night, you heard the sheriff say that we had probably over $1 million to come in the budget for $700,000 for state inmates. But just in order to make room to put more of our offenders of Scott County that needs to be put in jail, he had to send 10 or 12 back to somebody else, a regional prison. Then he's planning to try to get rid of at least 10 more. And so that money is not going to come in. So But we're going to put, really, the people that's breaking into houses and doing all these kind of things and beating their children and their wives, we got to make room to put them in jail, right?
We'll find room.